Yeah, you could probably almost make out a license plate if you're able to, stop a freeze
Yeah,
frame.
it has a narrower mode too. It has wide modes and narrow as well. So like you can set it to have like a much same resolution but much narrower field of view. So this, I guess if you wanted to like actually like shoot something, like this would probably be a bit too like fisheye to do it. Is that timestamp?
Yeah, you've got a timestamp on yours.
Yeah, you can toggle timestamp as well.
Yeah, see, mine doesn't do that.
Okay, so it's a little bit off. I don't know. It's a bit tricky to toggle that thing because you have to put the settings file. You have to actually put in the current time, unplug it, and then like push the button combination to read it at the time when that passes to get it just right.
It's close enough. I think this one has a clock, but I've never seen any setting that will actually timestamp the.
And it's got like it will let you store like 2 presets for video, and then the third one's for pictures. How much have I got in here? I still have the first one. It's actually quite long. Do I have the duck in here?
A duck.
Because I remember it's like I think I was just going along and there's this I think it was a duck. It could have been a goose. I didn't have to. And it just walks right into the road and like this first car like kind of misses it by like 3 inches or something. And it just keeps going and just doesn't give a crap. It keeps going, and I have to swerve gently to avoid it. And the guy behind me says to mirror me to avoid it. And we're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
okay, I don't know what the heck is, whatever.
This is my dash cam. Come on, YouTube, do your thing. Thought Frank was going to be here to see this marvelous robot.
Anyway, yeah, there's that.
Mine's noisy because I can't turn the volume off either, or the microphone off, and I've got it mounted outside.
Oh, it's actually outside your car. How'd you? Is it like what's it attached to? Like is it attached to your mirror?
That is just amazing.
It's tricky to figure out where it is.
It's, the spotlight.
Oh.
I've got a handlebar mount, and I've just got it attached to that spotlight.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a little bit ahead of
indoor-outdoor Wi-Fi cameras and put on where the spotlight was.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's wacky. People you keep an eye on you, though. Keep the bugs off it every once in a while. Yeah.
The video that it records though is just great, and it stays up with everything.
Are these move files or are they AVI?
It's an MP4, I think.
Okay, so it's an AVI.
That's enough of that.
That's surprisingly steady for being outside the car.
It's noisy though. That's my only.
Well, that's going to be kind of a given if it's out there.
And I'm not sure where I was going to cover the mic up, but I'm not even sure where it's at on this thing.
I wouldn't really bother, to be honest. I mean, you can always remove the sound post. So.
When are we going to get Nougat?
What?
When are we going to get Nougat?
Nougat.
Android Nougat? I already got it.
You already got it?
Yeah, but I got a Nexus device, so I got it early.
That's right. They're doing the Nexus stuff first.
You got Nougat on your
Yeah.
On the first
yeah.
tab?
This is 5X.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I mean,
wait,
you were thinking of the tablet. No, I don't have that with me right now.
because I didn't think I was going to get it on the tablet.
But yeah, not that much different. I mean, not at least not visually, not different. I don't know if you can see, but I think the little drop down is a lot better.
Oh,
It's squared off.
Yeah.
Because I guess they figured they didn't really need to compress it so much. So easier in the fingers. You still get that. That's didn't really change very much. It's flatter.
and they went with
It's flatter and it's got a bit more space between the buttons. So
they went with a more flat theme.
although let's see, the settings menu has changed quite a bit for the.
I want to know why airplane mode doesn't blink.
So like
Airplane mode should blink.
the settings file, the settings is a lot easier to use now, and not so bunched up anymore.
Huh.
I noticed the data usage is actually like they pulled a bunch of the options up front because you use them really commonly, and they actually pulled they took the app listing for data usage and drilled it down once. And it actually tells you which ones you have restricted, so that's great because last time I had to go through each. It was like, did I switch this one? Did I switch this one? It's like, oh god. Although let's see,
The Republic app has a way to restrict data usage on.
yeah. I guess the biggest thing I've seen change is like the tabbing feature. I mean the windows are a lot less narrow now, so it's a bit easier and it flows a bit easier now. And if you do
It really doesn't look like they've changed a whole lot now.
Although there is the one thing they did add, and that is double pane. If you hold the button, there's my chat, and there's my settings. So you can have two windows up at once now. That's the big thing I had that I'm having fun with. But as far as features go, I think that was about it. Most of the stuff.
Battery usage down?
Yeah, like it seems most of the rest of the stuff for Nougat is background
Faster?
stuff. I haven't really noticed much faster. I have noticed my battery is lasting quite a little bit longer. Faster. I don't know, that's tricky to gauge.
Faster is relative.
If it is, I'm not noticing it that much. But yeah, this is pretty cool because now I can have two things up at once.
I could see some use for that.
Okay, tell me how to. I'm looking at an app on my screen and I want to shut down that app. I want it to go bye-bye. Not in memory, not to be recalled, not on the list. How do you shut it down? You double-click the left arrow and that gets it off your screen, but it's running, it's still in memory.
You take that, usually, there's a little square, hit that,
You kick it off.
and then there's X's. And you just hit the X and it usually gets rid of it.
You don't have to hit the X, just swipe to the left or right.
Oh, just slide it left or right and that gets rid of it. Oh, okay.
That will get rid of it, so that will get rid of it running in the foreground.
It's still in the background?
Well, okay, so it's
still in the list?
It's in the background, but it's not.
It's not active.
I forget how it works anymore because I think the way it works, it goes into the background, and if it needs more memory, it'll kill it. So it's kind of dead for most intents and purposes. But
okay, so when I'm finished at the end of the day, I go look, and I've got a bunch of apps that are still.
I always hit.
So like.
I always hit the X. The X. So, I think the X kills it completely.
I used to do that on 4 and 5. I used to do that on 4 and I.
But you got to go to the list. You're sitting there looking at the app and you want to kill the app, be gone app, and you can't do it from the app.
Now I'm not sure if what version are you on. So I used to do that a lot with 4 and some on 5, but then after like 5, I kind of stopped doing it.
Now you just swipe
like,
it over.
Actually, I don't even swipe them anymore because like the memory management kind of changed at that version to the point where it's like
it's better.
Like I haven't really had to kill any apps because they seem to just I forget exactly how it works. I think I had because I had to deal with it at some point because I was doing a little app but like I think what it does is it'll kind of sort of hibernate the apps so it'll go into storage. It's not really in active memory anymore.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and then if it needs more memory, it'll just start killing them from the last one. So it's like they're kind of gone for most intents and purposes, but if it comes back, it'll come back. Because I noticed like some of them will retain their state. But if you have enough up, they'll just fall off. So
there's a couple of apps that on mine that don't show up in that list that I know they're background apps because you give them permission to start with. That
I noticed the swipe doesn't always kill it. It depends on the type of app. Like
Yeah.
I know my little IRC chat thing. If I swipe it, it doesn't really go away, but it has an icon at the top, so it's explicitly running in the background, so it's not going to kill that.
My background. The one is for my watch, and it doesn't even show up in the list. It's just there. It's got the icon at the top.
Yeah, I mean, since the last couple of versions, I haven't had to do it anymore. It just I used to run Hibernate for that. I used to run Greenify for that purpose. I stopped running it. I haven't had memory problems since.
Yeah, I do it every now and then, but I really don't have very many memory issues.
What's Greenify do?
So Greenify was Greenify was what I like. Those like battery saving apps. So Greenify was probably, I don't really use any of them anymore because the memory management is so much better now. But it was probably the better of those apps because like the issue used to be that okay, I need to conserve memory, so I'm going to kill all the apps. Well, the problem is that you could actually use more battery that way, because what ends up happening is certain apps need to be running in the background, so you kill them and they would have to completely restart. And so you wouldn't actually save anything from it. And there wasn't really that good of a way to know which ones. So like Greenify, what it actually did is, I guess it kind of does what the OS does now, which is like, it'll actually take the app and then it'll like hibernate it. So it goes off, like whatever its current state is, it'll kind of go off into storage, so it's still there if it needs to come back. And so, but it doesn't get completely killed, so you don't have like you kill it, it auto resurrects and eats up more battery in the process of coming back.
I think Google learns from app developers and incorporates lots of that stuff.
They pretty much adopted that from that, so you don't really need to run that anymore, so go figure.
Yeah. I think they learn certain things from app developers and they fix it.
Yeah, so it's not really an issue anymore. At least I haven't found it to be an issue anymore.
So who's got the latest Apple toy? Is that you, Frank?
No. I'm not Apple.
Oh, that's right. You're a Microsoft bigot. We need
That wouldn't make
Apple
me buy
bigot.
one.
No, we don't have any Apple bigots. We run all of them off.
They're gone. They were here.
Yeah, they were here a minute ago.
Yeah, no good.
Okay, who's up?
I don't know.
I guess you're up.
Am I up?
Yeah, I don't even have it. I brought my pie. The Kodi guy here.
You got your new pie with a
Raspberry
fan?
Pi, the fan on it.
Oh.
I got Kodi loaded.
Ah.
I got my SQL loaded. I got a lot of stuff loaded. Kodi is what I really want to. It's loaded, works okay, but I need the apps so that you can control the music and control the video and that kind of stuff. And it just seems like it's a slow boat to China to doing all of that. So I was hoping I'd come tonight and get some enlightenment and speed it up.
Did you get this working after the email?
No.
No.
I
Oh,
thought you
wait,
said,
one thing.
okay, I got your email, so I know what you did. But you said you were gonna demo it.
I am going to demo it.
I'll watch that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the Pebble Times dropped to $90. I've got the original steel here. I haven't bothered to upgrade, but
What dropped to $90?
the Pebble Times.
Which is?
It's a
the-
smartwatch.
It's
Oh,
it's the newer model from this. I have the original. Well, this is the original steel version. Yeah, the new ones are $90 now, which is about the same price I got this one. So I don't know. I guess at some point I might upgrade.
We ready? I guess.
Okay.
Okay. So, basically, I finally got a library working for this. Figured out what I had done wrong, gone back, and I actually spent probably an hour rereading how to make a library and fixed all the mistakes I made when I converted the class to a library. So the library finally,
What's the name of the library?
it's called, in the master
Mm-hmm.
repository, in the master, not repository, branch,
Branch.
it's just called BittyBot 2. It's under libraries.
Okay.
It's in the note to Ray.
No. It's called BittyBot 2, and you just copy that directory, the library, over into your library directory.
Your regular libraries.
Yeah, and then there's two examples in there. One is just a drive, make it go forward, make it go backwards. Done. That's all it does. And the other one is just simply it reads the ultrasonic and it turns it off. The demo that I did with the timed action, though, also has these 6 LEDs doing something. So the library is actually doing the work to drive the motors.
Raspberry Pi group? Meet up?
Yes, come in.
Cool.
Hey,
We
Mitchell. That's me, I guess.
come in, Mitchell.
hi.
I remember you from shoot. I could have sworn I ran into you somewhere.
You might have.
I probably did. Dayton Webb.
What?
Dayton Webb.
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, it'll come to me later.
It's fine.
So the library that I wrote is actually doing the work to drive the motors. Then the timed action is pulling the ultrasonic and the LEDs. I want to tell you, if you remember the demo that I did for the Star Wars Day, and how it was a little skittish and it would hit the wall every now and then, this one will still hit the wall every now and then, but it's usually because it's coming at it at an angle.
Fair enough.
It works amazing. Don't let it go off the table. Just put your own.
Huh.
See how it slows down,
Oh, that's pretty quick.
And it's still handling the light.
and it's still doing the lights. Now there is a little bit of a delay, so it messes the light sequence up a little tiny bit.
Going off.
So how's your main job is the motor drive, right?
Yeah, the hardest part of the whole thing
I
is the
mean, but
motor.
are you just continually doing the motor update, or is that kind of something that's in time also?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
So
That's a good technical answer.
the BittyBot library.
I guess this is like a water bottle.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Well, isn't that like what kind of sensor is it?
Ultrasonic.
It's strange that it wouldn't be a water bottle.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's
It's solid.
It's sound.
yeah. Or maybe it's just the not really reflecting it.
Come here, come here, come here.
Maybe because it's hollow.
I was dropping along the door.
So,
What did I do with my pack, guys?
what pack?
In the chair. My black pack, did I bring it in here?
Well, you brought your laptop.
Is that it? Okay. No, it's not mine. Huh, somebody must have left it out there.
I found it.
Hanging on the chair by the coffee shop?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I saw one out there when I came in.
Okay.
So I was looking for the guys, and I got here early.
Okay.
Okay.
If you remember when I did the class, I had it updating every cycle or whatever. It's still doing that. It's still getting the information. It's still running through the cycle every single time. But it only really changes anything if you send it something new to change.
I mean, if something comes in from the ultrasonic sensor.
So it's doing a speed control, and it's set right now to roll 500 milliseconds and then technically stop after the 500 milliseconds, but it doesn't do it because it's always it's constantly getting updated. So if you watch it though, as it's rolling through, as it gets closer to something or somebody, it does slow down a little bit. And then once it gets very close, it actually does slow down and stop. And then it turns. And then if it still sees a problem, it turns again. And keeps doing that until whatever's clear and it can...
So the turn is automatic.
The turn is automatic. But it's all done through, it's actually done through changing the speed of the motors.
But when do you get the time to update the LEDs?
That gets done right as it's, right, kind of depends. It really does. It's all happening pretty much at the same time, which is kind of the point.
However fast it's going.
Yeah. The LEDs do suffer a little bit because the ultrasonic, when it turns, it has to put the ultrasonic into a small loop to update the turn, so the LEDs lose out.
How long is that? That's what, a millisecond or something like that?
500 milliseconds is what I've got it set.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So the LEDs do lose out a little bit. And I probably could change that so that it's updating both at the same time.
I'll tell you something else that I was thinking too. Like these LEDs you have, you're flashing them really fast.
Yeah.
And if you were doing other tasks, you don't need to update them that often. Like that display, if you were only putting out a few characters at one time. So every 200, 300 milliseconds, or every second you put out a character, it's fine.
I'm only updating them that fast just because it's something to do. I mean,
I'm pushing the edge, Leroy. I'm pushing you onward. I tell you, I went at this. I actually got a table on my PC. I've got like all of these functions, and I've got like an estimate of how much time it would take for each function to update. And my thought is, and I know how you're doing this, but my thought was, with those motors, if you weren't constantly doing that, if you knew that every now and then I need to service the motors, then that even buys you some more fuel time. If you're servicing the motors
here,
quickly.
Yes, I'm servicing the motors quickly. Why is it this?
I want to stop for a minute.
See, I think I need to add some sort of averaging like Jim suggested last week. Because every now and then it just decides to turn for no apparent reason. like it sees something that's not there.
Yeah, you probably could need a little bit of threshold. So I think it's probably picking up like every little blip that comes up. So it's like if you got a little bit of interference.
Need two more sensors. I need 2 more 45s.
I had thought about that too.
Probably just have things like, okay, if it comes up this many times, then go ahead and do it, because that's definitely a service.
Yeah, it just needs some sort of averaging, and I think I'll write it something that'll do an average.
So, battery.
Oh.
4 hours, supposedly.
Right here is the first time it gets updated. So as long as the motors are running from this here where it says is running, then it's going to go and it's going to check all the LED statuses. It's going to check the ping sensor. If it's not running, there's no reason to check that stuff.
How long does it take to check the ping sensor?
Not very long.
Okay, so you just go and check it.
Till it gets a ping back.
Right here, it's just the standard ping code. It gets a ping, and then it tells the distance.
It does a pulse and waits for the return.
Okay, how long is it waiting? See, that's
It's fast.
100th of a second.
So that's 100 milliseconds.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Oh, you gotta
No, you send the ping out, and then you go away and do something for 50 milliseconds. But next time, and if you record that stuff in memory and you start checking the memory to see if stuff happens, you gain real time.
See, I've got it checking the ping sensor every 10th of a second though.
So yeah, it's audio, so it's probably not that much.
I've got to check it fast.
How long does it take to get down there and bounce back? That's how long it is.
It's sound.
But okay, when you check the ping sensor, you're doing nothing else except
waiting.
True enough.
Yeah.
But if you look inside the ping sensor routine, I also go and I check and make sure that it's updating me.
No, you do that, and that's not going to take that long.
You could measure that. But
But
it's going to be probably less than 50
The ping sensor,
milliseconds.
since you're doing that a lot, I mean, with, let's say, 6 things, you're probably okay. But it gets to the point where
Well, see,
100 milliseconds is 100 milliseconds.
I was like last week. I was thinking I'm at my limit with the 8 or 9 things that I was doing.
You're not at the limit.
6 should be a piece of cake for this thing to do.
6 is good. Actually, you probably can get
things around a little bit.
You probably can get to the 9, because what you're doing with those lights is real fast stuff. If you were doing something like putting characters out to a display, you just spend a little time doing it every time. What you were doing before is you were dumping a whole buffer, which means that you just stop, you just dump everything. If you were doing that a little bit at a time, like every cycle, every time you did something to the wheels, you sent a character, you're not going to take as much time as when you just take the whole time.
Back, coffee smells good. Anybody want
Yes, and dump the whole buffer.
You could kind of put off operating the motors for a little bit, because I mean your speed there is kind of limited by the fact that it's only going to go so fast, whereas like things like the LEDs and the sensor and the
So you're limited by the
characters or something.
You're limited by the fastest job, and probably the fastest
Or
right now is those LEDs.
well, limited by slowest.
Yeah, I
The
think you're
thing that you
limited.
have to update the most, or things that you are updating the most.
I think you're limited by.
So you can probably put that off just a little bit.
Well, the motors actually don't get checked that often. Oh, that won't find it either. I'm in the wrong spot. Wait a second. The motors actually don't get updated as often as.
I wonder if the motor, you're using a call to update the motors, a function, and I'm wondering if that's handled by the OS.
There's no OS.
There's no OS.
His class is the OS.
Well, you gotta have I/O drivers. You got I/O driver.
yeah,
Gotta be doing
yeah.
something. He's not doing it with the software. He's just saying
Yeah,
pulse width
that's-
modulation.
Well, that's a slightly different thing.
The what would you call it? The BIOS. That is handled at the BIOS level.
That thing has a driver. I don't know if there's a library function just for the motor, but
Yeah,
that's just a quick kind of thing.
and all you're doing is updating the pulse with modulation.
Yeah, but what are you really doing? If you're just you're saying something to the I/O and you're saying I want this ratio of ups and downs. What is that doing in the hardware? Is that handled by a lower level? Because these things do I/O. You're not doing the I/O. You're telling somebody to do the I/O, and somebody's handling that in the background. You're not doing the I/O. You're not.
In my mind, you're putting the voltage out there to the motor.
Yeah.
You got some hardware that recognizes when I have this voltage, I should do something with
Yeah, like
before we go back.
turning a bit on and off.
Yeah.
You're setting a bit in memory, and the operating system, much lower level, the assembler stuff, is saying is that bit set every time it cycles. Is that bit set? And it's probably a watchdog timer operating the I/O.
This is a lot simpler. If he could do that, that would be kind of the idea.
Well, we're talking about stupid. At the stupid level, just on off.
Mhm.
That's how it works. You set a bit, and then somebody's handling that.
His software controls everything. He is the ultimate controller. Now, if you were thinking about firmware, maybe in the hardware, but there is no firmware in the hardware. Whatever.
Who's looking at that bit and
There is a firmware, but I mean,
in the motor.
there is firmware.
In the motor controller.
I'm just talking about a bit now, an output.
Okay.
Now, is there firmware for the pulse width modulation? Because some of those outputs don't have pulse width modulation, and some of them do.
that's
What does that
not at that
driver
point.
board have in it? I mean, hardware-wise.
Well, it's the L398.
Does that have any smarts? Okay. So that means the Arduino is, through the libraries, is taking care of everything.
Okay. Yeah.
The PWM is intrinsic to that hardware, because you can't do PWM on every output. You can't. There's some you can. There's some you can't. That's right. Is that not right? That's right.
Bring up the diagram.
Bring up the picture of the eye.
Yeah.
It's true that the hardware, the Mega, only has so many PWM,
Yeah,
unless
right.
you go in and modify the timers to make it do something beyond what the specs were.
But that motor is not going to do anything unless in your software you do something with the PWM.
Yeah, and the PWM, he's in the software. He's just issuing an I/O command that says the PWM is this, and that's all he's doing.
No, he's controlling.
Are you controlling the output directly, switching it on, and in so many milliseconds switching it off? Really?
Leroy's got all the power.
There's a function in there.
Then when he goes and does other stuff,
Mhm.
that means that's got to be running continuously,
Yeah. You know, once you tell it to do something, it's just going to continue to do it.
and it can't be switched out. It's got to be on all the time, because this is 50 cycle stuff. So you're actually controlling the output. You're not using the pulse width modulation output function at all.
The analog out?
Analog out, if you're using analog out to control it and you're setting the ratio, then he's not doing it. Are you using analog out or not?
Yeah.
You're using analog out so that
Who's doing it?
it's not him.
Who's doing it?
Who's doing it? That's what I'm saying. The OS is doing it. There is.
There's no OS.
There's a machine level. It
No.
has to be. Somebody's
Arduino-
interpreting his
And
commands.
Arduino is him. You know, he's turned the bits on and off, sets the analog level.
Does that thing have a prom in it? Wherever it is. Does
That
it
was
have
the
a
question.
prom in it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's gotta have a time.
Okay.
It's gotta have the instruction set.
Well,
It's gotta have an instruction set.
you can check that out, but,
Yeah.
what's that, LM398 or whatever?
No, the 398.
He-
No,
what is
he's
You're,
just.
you're on two different pages. He's on the Mega. You're on the driver
What you're
board.
doing, okay, if there is,
The driver board's just an amplifier, basically.
yeah, okay, well, if it's an amplifier, there is no software. All the software comes from the Mega or the Arduino or whatever you're using.
I'm saying the Mega.
He's saying the Mega has an instruction set, and when I tell it to analog out, I'm telling it to execute some
You are.
certain instruction
You
set.
are.
Yeah, PWM.
It's
You are.
It's always very.
it's a library because
Yeah.
like the
It-
Arduino's using it's interpreting.
Yeah.
Well, not interpreting.
There's when it compiles it down to machine code, and I
Yeah.
don't have any clue what the
Yeah.
hell
Yeah,
machine
well,
code
There's a
is.
layer that you don't
Yeah,
do.
no, I agree.
It's, okay.
Well,
It's-
but
it's handling
the
that
layer you don't
PWM for you.
control
And
isn't controlling the.
It's something that you don't need to worry about.
Okay, and when you do the interrupt, that stuff is still running no matter what you do on the interrupt.
There's no interrupts.
There's no interrupt. Okay.
I'm not using
So
any
it's still
interrupt.
running underneath whatever you're doing.
Well, whenever you make the call, whatever you do, whatever, it's gonna run then, at that time. But there's no, silent thing that's sort of like with operating systems
Well, see-
running in the background.
He makes a call, and it continues to do it no matter what he's doing. If he
comes
does-
back, why don't you draw some diagrams?
Picture.
Well, the library's
If he
taking care
does
of that,
if he does a timer, everything stops, right?
It's a software timer, though.
It's a software timer, exactly. Everything stops in his program.
No, there's no stopping.
If he hits a pause,
think it's in the drawing.
if he hits a time, if you hit a time, it's a solid stop. No?
There's no. Do you have your pens with you?
Yeah.
See if I can.
Now, what you're talking about, to me, that is the ideal.
You want to control it from the hardware level.
And
Yeah, or have something like a lower level that actually just takes care of the,
For like that exact thing.
yeah.
just takes care of the motor, and you just write something in memory.
With the board.
And you do something like
And.
direct memory access,
Driver, the motor,
the motor just runs.
you know, spacers, all together.
Oh, really? Dang.
Yeah, you guys experiment with them and give me feedback. So, that's your value add.
Wow.
So that's where that came from.
What a gig.
Yeah. Haven't seen him in a while either.
How long ago was that?
Been the past year.
Last year. You guys just been playing with that ever since then?
Yeah. Yeah, so when he
We
makes a mod
play
or
with all
something.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
We got one, yeah, we all got one just like it, so
Yeah.
we all trying to.
That's cool.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Stuck.
Got my pie. I'm gonna learn from you.
Friday this morning, I think. So I got
You fried it.
One more. I don't know.
Oh, you got it.
I tried to add a LCD on it, and make it fancy.
Oh,
I don't think that's
All right.
okay.
I have something, two things missing.
Keyboard.
I think this is it. I think this is how I did it. Those are the pulse width modulations that you're talking about. 255 for left and right, motor 1 and motor 2.
Okay.
T would be the time, how long you want those to run. Previous T would be equal to mils, actually, to start with, it would be set to 0. And then once it runs through one session, it gets set back to mils again. And you just keep checking that over and over again, and you do something inside of this loop. So if you had this set for 500, you'd say PWM motor 1 equals 0, PWM motor 2 equals 0, and that would shut the motors off.
Okay. What is the command for setting the motor speed? What command are you using? Analog write. That is, he's not handling analog write. There is nobody handling analog write.
There's some code.
The operating system is.
It's not an operating system.
Well, it's the way they're handling the I/O.
When you compile it, it gets compiled. So when you do analog write, some code executes on an I/O.
Yeah,
but
which
as far as
is
the operating system, that's like a control program. It's terminology.
okay. But
Android is not.
There's something that's handling him, and he's not doing direct control.
Yeah, there's a library that's already written.
Yeah,
that's doing that
when he
particular
executes
part.
his command, that's when that code runs.
And it's running continuously in the background.
running.
Yeah.
It's dead.
It doesn't do
Think about a
anything
macro.
until you call it.
Think about a macro. It's like a macro.
Listen.
Yeah, it's a macro. That's probably the better way to say it.
But
It doesn't do anything until you tell it to.
Yeah. Well, then the motor's going to stop.
Yeah.
If it's not doing anything, the motor's going to stop.
But he tells it fast enough so it really never stops.
Like if I tell it to set.
Are you
the
calling
motors-
it continuously?
No.
When you stop calling it, does it stop?
No.
Well, then something else is running the motor.
But you put a pause
It's
in
that
there, the
simple.
motor
No.
doesn't stop.
I know something else is running it.
That
still
depends
running,
on
yeah.
what-
Can't
that
run in the
depends on what
background.
that function is doing. I mean, to really know, you'd have to
Once you
check
turn
what the
that
function's
function on,
doing.
it has to be turned off. So once
No, it's doing stuff. It's turning the output on and off continuously, doing pulse width modulation. No matter what you're doing, it's still running. That's my point. It has to be running or the motor would stop. Pulse width modulation, you're telling it how fast to go continuously 50 times a second. And if you're not telling it 50 times a second,
Okay.
somebody else is, and it is.
Suppose you told it more than 50 times a second. Then you could accept that it would stop.
He's telling it once a second, or once every 500 seconds. It was 500 mils.
Okay, it's got momentum. It's moving.
No, it doesn't have. He's got to be turning it on and off 50 times a second. There's no momentum. It would go off. It would stop.
I think the code's not running. If we had an oscilloscope or something, like bring it into a proof.
Well,
But it's not
I mean,
running.
the only way to really know is you have to check what the function's doing, because like it could be setting off some other routine or something somewhere, or setting off a loop somewhere.
This is a
that's doing
simple
it.
process.
I mean, you
actually
can
simple
do.
software. So if something
but I
were
haven't
inside
actually
the
checked that.
controller, I could see it. Something was actually inside the motor controller, the capacitor or something.
It really has nothing to do with the motor controller at all.
In software, it just would defy reality.
I taught PLCs for years.
That's okay.
It's just like this thing. They run continuously, the I/O in the background. It just runs.
Okay, so must be
yeah,
some
that's
program
perfect.
that is a controller for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea.
It's
What
the part of the
what
software.
Leroy's
It's in the
doing
prompt.
is kind of like simulating an operating system. Arduino doesn't have it.
There's a couple of hardware timers that we don't get direct access to unless we change something in the libraries. There's a couple of them in there that are doing something else. So Jim may be right. When you initialize the pulse width modulation, it may actually turn on another one of those hardware timers.
If that is compiled and it's a library, and you start software running, it's only going to run as a result of you making that call. There's nothing in the background.
Only
There's
if
no
I
background
turn
process.
only if I turn it on. Pulse width modulation's not coming out of there any other time.
All right. So what makes the motor run?
Well, on that one, there's three different things.
And you send a pulse width modulation signal to the controller.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's
what I'm saying. Somebody's got to be doing pulse width modulation to him, and he's just doing the analog call. Well, whatever. We'll continue this battle.
Running or something in the background then, right?
There's a time. I bet when you tell it analog write, it sets another timer up that we don't really have direct access to, and it starts
Doing all that in the background continuously.
Analog write is one of those universal things. It's not just for that motor. Actually, the only thing you need to do.
Analog write does pulse width modulation.
The analog write does do like it runs a loop that does do a wave for the.
So there's a timer that we don't have access to that does something.
I'm not entirely sure what operates at.
We beat it enough. Let's do something next. What else you got out for us, Leroy?
But yeah, basically, basically you set duty cycle and then it does it until you do a different call. So.
Oh sure, just make it go in circles. See how you are? Run over the pie.
Let's look it up right there.
There's like 4 or 5 timers in there.
The frequency on most pins is approximately 490 hertz. Okay, so actually in the documentation for the library it lists out some of the frequencies for the different things that it'll set out, at least by default. So yeah, it is setting off the different things.
Okay, well, you got something for us tonight, Will?
I did, and I totally blew it.
Okay.
But basically, what I did was created a generic chronograph using infrared, so that when this first will set it, I have it at about 4 inches here. And then within the code, I have it so that it's divided by, 3333. And I have it down in milliseconds. And then that right there will tell me what the feet per second is of whatever projectile is shot through it. So,
Say that again.
Okay.
You want to explain it better?
No.
I don't know.
So what I'm trying to keep some stuff small. One of the things I was trying to do, and I just failed greatly, is I want to put, the whole reason for me putting the pi on here is there's 2 different libraries that I want to use. The first library I want to use is how much actual infrared is this guy sending to this guy. Because different lighting situations, if I'm outside, great. But then I may have to change a number within the program to make the rest correct. So made a calibration program. First time I've ever wrote one.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then I made another program that basically just runs it, takes the time. Stole some information off YouTube and went from there. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think I'm not going to use this guy because I haven't got that guy to work exactly correctly yet. So. But that's what my final product will look like. And I'll leave it. I didn't bring my bead.
So it's going in this direction?
Yes. It goes between the 2.
This way.
Yeah. I'll probably put a tube in there. Probably put it on a tube, put the LEDs on it. And then
that would have been my first thought. Is you need to shield this from external light.
Going to be probably printing something up. I have a couple of different friends out there that do some reloading and other things. So
We're going to be checking muzzle velocity here.
well, it's
Or whatever.
Nerfs, whatever. But the basic idea that I have with it is the ability to check the speed of something. Now, I also could just have one of those and record how many people would enter a room or leave a room. Same exact theory because you cross the line. Or you can use it for a safety check. You know, there should be no hands, you know, when this thing's going to go stomping, there should be nothing in the way. And if it's something other than, you know, another receiver within the manufacturing set point, you know, be a nice little safety.
Yeah, with red light curtain.
Yes, basically. The black ones are the senders, and the clear ones are the receivers.
What's keeping this one from seeing this one right now?
Absolutely nothing. So.
Yeah, you need
When
some.
you shoot a bullet through my
Oh, yeah.
fingers, it'll tell you how fast it went through there.
Yeah, but basically I had it, one of the things that I was trying to do, I almost got it working, and then I think, you know what, I'm going to add an LCD to a Pi and see what happens, and that wasn't a good idea.
I guess you probably have to sheath them so they can all
Yeah.
see each
Yeah.
other, probably.
Basically, I'm just going to...
Keep
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Keep on.
What I want to do is I'm going to make a tube, I'm going to 3D print it. It's going to be about 4 inches long. I want to put on for the center area, it's going to be a box that it shoots through. And then I'm going to have a little part where I can just stick it in, and it will have it'll be enclosed inside the box so that it can only receive what's directly across from it. And then one of the other things I want to do is I just want to find a way to make it as easy to use as possible.
So, like, it's infrared, right?
Yeah.
You can probably, like, do the receivers only take infrared, or are they just...
I don't know yet.
You can try, like shielding the receivers from, like, anything above infrared, and
Yeah.
see if that works. Like,
Yeah, I mean
you could probably check that.
Yeah,
And
the
if you could,
videos-
probably help somewhat.
Yeah, the videos that I've seen online primarily they test them just on a breadboard like this, so it works.
Probably the brightest thing you can see, really.
The other thing is when you set the calibration, you actually set it to how much
The
light.
ambient is.
Yeah.
These the sensors are typically rated for a particular frequency. These sensors
Yeah.
are.
You can. I didn't do that particular.
Well,
almost
when you
need
buy
something
them,
like
they're
that.
set to a particular frequency, particular to a particular frequency. I don't know how narrow they are.
That's got them both encased in plastic where they can only see each other.
That's why it's dark.
You could probably
Yeah.
find some material, even if it isn't, you can probably find some material to narrow it. I don't know, you'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm nowhere close to being done. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I want to use black ABS because it's black and the inside of it is black, and it'd be harder for outside light to mess up things. Also from the muzzle blast, messing up things. If I use it, for example, like with a paintball gun or other CO2 or air, one of the errors that happen is the moisture will actually hit the area first, and then that'll mess everything up.
Because that's not entirely clear. or it's not completely. Yeah, you get what I mean.
One of the ideas that I had was I was going to make a box that goes on the top of it that has 4 120 millimeter fans that just be pulling air out. That way, so that if there's any water vapor or you name it that comes out that I don't want to measure, then I'm good to go.
It's a bit tricky though.
Something
Because like the action of, I can kind of see where the action of putting something through the area you're measuring is going to introduce materials that would. It almost feels like you'd have to kind of like take an average or something and get the biggest thing that passed through.
One of the things I want to do is those measure. I wrote it for 4 inches. So what I'm thinking about doing is the final version is going to be like 6 or 8 inches long. And I'll just have every 2 inches, I'll just put another test setup. And then when I write the final code for it.
And you just get enough points. And
Right. Yeah.
What board are you running there?
That's just the cheapest Arduino Uno.
So, micro.
What's going to be the speed that something will pass through?
If it's a paintball, probably about 120, probably about 150, 160
What, meters a second?
feet per second.
Feet per second. Arduino's going to handle?
Yeah.
It's basically like a wheel encoder.
Yeah.
Only he's using it for slightly different purpose. He's counting. He's looking at the time element versus the count element.
Mm-hmm.
I need something that goes up to 1,000 feet per second.
Well, the other thing I haven't figured out how to do yet, is within the code is how to make it so it'll actually record the information, like store it. And,
You need some RAM to do that, though.
yeah, I know. I want to.
How much do you want to store? Because you know they've all got a little tiny EEPROM on them.
Yes.
Really
Not as much, probably slow.
Not that much, you know. Just a
The
couple of shots.
ESP 8266.
Well, the EEPROM that's on there isn't as slow as you really expect it to be. It's slow. But if he's just storing information,
Yeah,
You're going to be scanning real fast.
and then store the information.
Store the
yeah.
information.
I want to try to. My idea is I want to have a Pi on the outside, just because I can put an 8 gigabyte card on it, and I can just store all the information. So then whoever's using it can go. So I can kind of have a
How
better.
accurately can an Arduino get time?
Do what?
I never bothered to look into that. How accurately can our Arduino get time?
That millis count is pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
millisecond.
so as long as you're sending the millis is along with.
As long as you're not using an interrupt with the millis, it's really accurate.
Okay, so it should be good enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, so basically just send the millis along with the.
Right.
Okay.
But if you're going to hook it up to a Pi, then you really don't need to use the EEPROM on the.
Well, see, actually, with the Pi, though, you want to store, and then every now and then you want to go get everything from. If you're trying to cycle and send it to the Pi, this is kind of like the problem that you're working with serial right now. That 1,000 times a second that you can scan, if you're using part of it actually to communicate with a Pi, which is probably going to slow it down. But it'd be better if you could store it and then get it from the Pi later. You get it,
Probably
use
good,
the Pi
yeah.
to collect it later.
Yeah. But that's my theory.
Well,
on
the
it.
EEPROM, it's what, 200 million write cycles before it kills itself. So it would take a while before it.
Yeah.
before you
Yeah.
kill it.
Worrying about.
Because the thing is, when I look at it, the idea that I had with it is just put a touchpad on it with a Pi, and then I can store up to 8 gigs of stuff on it, real simple. And
They make a Raspberry Pi hat that's an Arduino. It's supposed to really simplify the communication problem between the serial lines, because I think it's using I2C to talk to the Arduino components. That might be something to consider.
so it's a Raspberry Pi hat.
Yeah, it's there's a hat. Let's see if I can find it. What's it called? Arduino or something?
What's next?
The creative. Arduino.
Oh shoot, that's actually a name.
But yeah, that's
I only partially made that up. I should get credit for something.
Okay, 100,000 brownie points.
I forget.
kind of my thought process with it. Because if I can get
There it is.
that communication working well, just go with it.
Nice.
Oh, it's I think MCM had these things for a while. You can find them on eBay every now and then pretty cheap, but coming from China.
You gotta wait. You'll forget what you needed it for.
There, that's one. So that's basically an Uno strapped to the top of a Raspberry Pi. You can use the Pi to program the stupid thing, and then the Arduino can do its own separate stuff.
Of course, got a library that comes with it.
Yep. Well, the ones that I've seen do. I've not seen that particular one.
Arduino.
But you can find them on eBay pretty cheap. I think Arduino is a brand name. Look, just kind of, I don't know what to search for. I know I found them under different names and they weren't all Arduinos.
Yeah.
So how are you currently getting your feedback? Just as a blip on your monitor?
Basically, I just have the serial output, tells me what it is.
See, I think the serial's slow. So if you could use it off the I2C ports, you probably would be doing a whole lot better.
I don't know what I'm doing there, to be completely honest with you.
There's plenty of libraries that, and I'm pretty sure that this Arduino has the library to talk over I2C to the Arduino.
They probably wouldn't sell it. They didn't.
Good thing to got stuff to investigate. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on.
This thing, they crack these things, right?
Yes.
Wow. Have you cracked that one?
I haven't even opened that one yet.
Oh, okay.
That's the stick, right?
Yes.
But there's
Now the-
running Linux or Unix, some variation of Unix, and it's cracked
Yeah,
them.
it's Linux. Because I got, let's see, I got the Apple, I got the TV version, the upscale version from that. They actually work pretty good. My wife likes it. Yeah.
The crack version, is it the crack
No,
version?
no, it's not
the
the
right
crack version.
Fire stick.
It's a real one, the $100 version.
Oh, okay. What's it do?
I got that one primarily so that I could connect it up to a projector, and then I don't have to worry about cords. That's my theory.
Don't have to worry about
Cords.
That
Cords.
that
Oh, okay.
remote also is very good.
the Roku has a similar device for $50.
Here's what it doesn't have. It doesn't have that voice interface.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that voice interface works really good. You say the words, and the thing understands the words.
Yeah. they had a thing where if you were a previous Prime member, you can get the Fire and that for $50.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm not a
went
Prime
with-
member, but okay.
I
That's
went
got
with
all the other options on it too. The
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I just haven't.
Hulu and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't added Exodus or Kodi to it yet.
Yeah, I have that. That's nice.
Did you load Kodi?
Yeah.
Kodi.
How do you get the music and stuff for Kodi? And really, the simple
That's-
question is, where do
I
you
only use
store
it
it?
for the videos. They just download it off the sources. That's the main reason why I use Kodi and Exodus.
Yeah, I haven't.
I only did Kodi so I could get Exodus. I had to go
Yeah.
through like some weird process.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't got
the
the
real
Exodus.
process is where I am now. I haven't gone through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I have not got the Exodus to work yet. I got Kodi to work on my Fire tablet, but Exodus I'm having the issues with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Amazon tech support actually contacted me and said, "Are you sure you wish to add the Google Play Store to your Fire?" Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes, I am sure I want to do that.
And then so you sure you want to add Kodi to it? I'm like, yes. This
Yeah.
is why I did it.
Yeah, I kept asking me those questions too.
Well, see the thought process, and I had the same thought process because I went parallel. The thing about the Amazon TV is it already works. And with Kodi, what you're doing is you're trying to make all of that stuff work. And you're putting a lot of effort into making it work. Of course, if you like to make the effort and the pain, you know.
I'm primarily putting the effort into it because I found the Fire to be kind of useless when I got it. I was trying to do a generic search with their thing, and it sent me to another website when I was looking for something. The other thing is, I did a search of, I wanted an LCD with my Pi. It sent me to a site talking about drug rehab.
I thought you said LSD with your pie, right?
Yeah. And I kind of like, okay, I'm going to install Chrome on this. I'm going to find a way to get Chrome on this. I don't care. I am tired of the search engine. It was like the Chinese government was on my Fire and not letting me do what I wanted to do. Yeah, took care of it.
Okay, so Exodus, what secrets have you guys found out about this Exodus? Why hasn't it worked? I just looked at it and I said, I don't want to go down that path.
Yeah. I mean, I just follow the YouTube tutorial on how you go through Kodi and install Exodus, and then Exodus, it's pretty easy to just be able to search for for me, I watch series and things and movies that aren't necessarily out, or it's just a way to get around all that stuff. So I just go there and you can select it. There's some settings that you can make to make it easier, but basically you just select it. It'll give you a bunch of providers. You just hit stream and it'll just stream it for you.
Did you get it working yet?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you had it. I really didn't try it, and I know he was going to be talking about that today, so I brought it in. So you say it's not that bad?
No.
Okay.
Really not. I just, when you're doing it on the Fire, you don't have the tools that you're normally used to.
Yeah.
You don't have access to your file system, and installing anything onto it that's not a part of the Amazon safety list.
Yep. Yeah, because you had to go into developer mode. You had to go to the options and allow certain things, and then you had to download the zip through Kodi and then launch it through that. You just had to go everywhere around what Fire TV wanted you to do to install it.
Yes. It's a pain in the...
Yeah.
And I'm, anytime I try to do anything, I just disconnect it from the internet for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I use another internet source to get my information, and yeah, it's really, really annoying. I mean, they know how to lock a system down. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
But I really have been wanting to take the tablet and wipe it. I'm afraid to. I'm not gonna lie. But I want to wipe it. Then I want to install, basically just put Jesse on it. I know it'll run faster. I know I have the ability to do whatever I really want to with it. And if it dies again, I can actually save the ISO and, go from there. So I just haven't done it yet. That, and I started on my personal CNC machine I'm trying to make, which is another project.
Oh, cool.
I started printing the X and Y motor connectors.
I have a CNC machine that I sell cheap.
You sell cheap.
Sell cheap.
Seriously. I've got one. We've got it on Letgo right now for like $100. Needs a controller. And I think my buddy was going to order the controller for it. But once the controller gets ordered, he doesn't want $100 anymore.
Oh, I know. It's one of those things I want to make it so I can use it for pretty much anything I want. I want to, for the part that connects the tool head, I'm actually going to use a filament where when it starts to get warm, it changes color. And that is just so that I don't ruin the tool or ruin a whole lot of other stuff really quick. Because there's nothing worse than when you have a cutting laser on and it's shooting right at you. It's just not a good situation. So it's some of the things I'm working on.
This one was set up for doing PCB fab, and it's got a Dremel on it, drills holes.
Yeah.
But it was set up for something relatively small and thin versus something else.
Yeah, the once I realize how the Z works on it, I'm probably going to completely redo the Z because it's 48 parts, and I spent probably a week and a half just this is structural, this is the X and the Y, and then everything that's not in the file is part of the big Z disaster. But I look at it and I'm like, so.
Okay, Mitchell.
Yeah.
What are you interested in?
So, what brought me here is I've always been interested in like Raspberry Pis and Internet of Things just in general. But right now, I go to UC. I do IT software development. That's the major I'm going in. I'm a fifth year senior.
I the program too.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. So that's probably.
Maybe.
Yeah,
This is
maybe.
Jeremy.
Yeah. So me and my group are doing senior design, and we're looking at doing something Internet of Things related. But we don't really have much or really any experience with Raspberry Pi or Arduino. So I thought it'd be a good idea to come here and like see some cool things, get my interest going, maybe get some ideas.
Do you have any limits from your professor?
There's no limit. It's just how much you can do within the time allotted.
Yeah, you
You could do one of these.
Yeah, like this is cool. Like,
The senior project.
On it. Once I get my current project done, I'd like to make a BattleBot.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
and you know Dragon Con, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that'd be amazing.
Because they have
Both of the-
Dragon Con is the entry for the TV show.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep. It's been that way for a while.
You guys you haven't come up with your idea yet.
No, we're still brainstorming.
I'm gonna guess a lot of them are gonna be mobile and web.
What?
A lot of them are gonna be mobile and web.
Oh, that's pretty much all they are, just mobile and web things. Like internet, like if you do something with like this, are you kidding me? It'd blow everybody away and you'd win. You would just win.
Well, something a bit more practical than that, but
If you
Maybe.
if you want to do something with Internet of Things, Frank mentioned it. The ESP8266 is a really good board
That's
for
really good.
for
It's better than to work with. Got more RAM, it's wireless.
and
Yeah.
if you can wait maybe another month or so, there's a new version of it coming out. It's called the ESP32. It's some 8932, something like that.
So what's it gonna have? Lower power?
Lots. I emailed you about it.
I don't remember seeing that.
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, more memory. I think the same flash. Capable of, it does require more power to run it, but
See, because you could use Raspberry Pi, which is phenomenal, but it's just too much power.
Not too much power.
well, it's in the same small package as
The existing one.
yeah, and it's made by the same
Does
company.
it need a heatsink?
The pictures I've seen of it, it doesn't have a heatsink. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to put one on it.
Somebody's got to make these things low power.
Low cost was the thing. This thing's going to be this thing's going to come out when it comes out. The chip was $3, but the board is probably going to be right around 10 to 15
That's still not bad at all.
for what it is. That's not bad.
What it does.
Yeah. Bunch of GPIO on it, so it's going already. I think it's got an analog on it, and it's got. I thought it said analog out, but I'd have to check that.
There are also a lot of projects already out there, like example projects that you can look at. You may want to do something different, but in a way, they're all kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing that we're struggling with is just coming up with an idea. Like I don't know, for some reason it's hard for us to come up with an idea. Just,
I mean, you guys
just
got
haven't been in the mindset.
the brain is still working.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
There's probably at this point there's probably 14, maybe 15 different versions of the 8266. So the one that probably is the easiest one to get started with is probably what they call the Node MCU.
Right. Okay.
And it's small. It's sort of Arduino-like, and you can program it with the Arduino IDE, which will make things a little easier and simpler. But there's plenty of tutorials and instructions and whatever weird little projects, all based off of that Node MCU.
Okay.
What are you guys interested in? I mean, if you're in IT, what are you interested in?
I mean, interested-wise, this stuff's really interesting. I mean, a lot of things, technology just interests us. You know, what we learn is web development and Android and things like that, like mobile. We don't learn like this in our software development field. But this is like really cool to do.
You can add this to it. Well, I have I teach school. Actually, I have a class which is kind of like a survey class, and it's with all the Microsoft packages. What we do is we do brainstorming. Put down just whatever comes to your head. You know about classic brainstorming.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you do multi-voting. Well, in your case, you don't have to do multi-voting. you could actually discuss each item on its merits.
Yeah.
But first is to get all the items. You don't really have to even use your group. What would be useful? What's the useful thing that you'd like to develop?
Yeah.
As a way of coming up with something.